Hello everyone, welcome back to another YouTube recall session. So today we're going to discuss with you about the recall questions of Physiology subject INI-CET 2024. So let us start discussing the questions. So the first question is, which of the following are properties of ventricular cardiac muscle? So there are four properties are given actually. The first one is all or none phenomenon. Yes, it is true. The next property is length tension relationship. Yes, it is the property of ventricular cardiac muscle. Long refractory period. Yes, it is the property of ventricular cardiac muscle. Tetanus. No. Cardiac muscle cannot be tetanized due to very long refractory period. Okay. So tetanus is not the property of ventricular cardiac muscle. So the answer here is option number B, 1, 2 and 3. The next question is, which of the following may lead to a decrease in GFR? So let us look at the options. Increase in renal blood flow. No, it leads to increase in GFR. Decrease in glomerular oncotic pressure. No, that also leads to increase in GFR. Increase in glomerular hydrostatic pressure. No, it also leads to increase in GFR because hydrostatic pressure increase will leads to more filtration and more GFR. Decrease in Bowman capsule oncotic pressure. Yes, it leads to decrease in fluid retention in the Bowman capsule, and which leads to decrease in GFR. So the answer here is D, decrease in Bowman capsule oncotic pressure. The next question is, which is the most potent naturally occurring estrogen? The most potent naturally occurring estrogen, the factual answer is estradiol. This is a factual straightforward question. The answer is A, estradiol. The next question is, which hormones are produced from the zones labeled in the image given? So these are the zones of adrenal gland. A is zona glomerulosa, which secrete mineralocorticoid. Means aldosterone. B is zona fasciculata, which secrete glucocorticoid. C is zona reticularis, which secretes sex steroids like androgens. And D is adrenal medulla, which secretes epinephrine. So the answer here is D. Aldosterone, then cortisol, then androgen, and then epinephrine. The next question is, erythropoietin is produced by kidney, liver, spleen, and lungs. So erythropoietin is actually produced by kidney and liver. So the answer here is C, kidney and liver. Electrooculogram, electroencephalogram, and electromyogram of a patient are given respectively from above downwards. Which stage of sleep does the marked area represent? This one is the marked area. This graph is actually representation of rapid eye movement sleep of EEG. So the answer here is C, REM sleep. The next question is, which of the following statements is incorrect regarding ABO blood grouping? So let us look at the statements. Antibodies are naturally present since birth. So this statement is actually false. Antibodies production starts 2 to 8 months after birth, not since birth. Okay, so the answer here is A. Let us look at the other options. The antigens are carbohydrate in nature. Yes. The antibodies are predominantly immunoglobulin M type. Yes. Antibodies are present only if antigens are absent. Yes. The next question is, identify the hormones marked in the image given. This A hormone is actually inhibitory to C. So A is somatostatin and C is actually growth hormone. B is actually the stimulator of C, so that is growth hormone releasing hormone. And D is actually the insulin like growth factor 1 on which the growth hormone acts. Okay, and stimulate. So the A is somatostatin, B is growth hormone releasing hormone, C is growth hormone, and D is insulin like growth factor 1. So A is the answer. The next question is, identify the correct sequence. So the correct sequence of protein kinase A formation is, first cyclic AMP is produced and it acts by an enzyme called as adenylyl cyclase, and cyclic AMP then adenylyl cyclase and then the formation of protein kinase A. So the answer here is option number B. The next question is, which among the following instruments is not used in the Sahli's method of hemoglobin estimation? So let us look at these four instruments, and first of all let us label these all instruments. So the first instrument is actually comparator with hemoglobin standards. The second one is graduated hemoglobin tube. Third one is Sahli's pipette with stirrer. D is RBC pipette. Okay. So RBC pipette cannot be used to estimate hemoglobin. Other three are used in the estimation of hemoglobin by Sahli's acid hematine method. So the answer here is option number D. The next question is which neurotransmitter is secreted by sinoatrial node in response to increased blood pressure? So when there is increased blood pressure, there is a inhibition of sympathetic system and activation of parasympathetic system. So the universal transmitter of parasympathetic nervous system is actually acetylcholine. So the answer here is A, acetylcholine. The next question is match the following hormones with their receptors. Insulin, tyrosine kinase receptor, acetylcholine, ligand gated receptor, growth hormone, JAK-STAT receptor, and thyroxine nuclear receptor. So A is 3, B is 4, C is 1, and D is 2. So the answer here is C. A3, B4, C1, and D2. Okay. The next question is the oxygen saturation with respect to pressure of oxygen is shown by the curve marked 5. What happens to the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve on transfusion of stored RBCs? When stored RBC undergo transfusion, that shifts the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve to the left side. Okay, so that marked 5 becomes the marked number 2. Answer is A, 2. The next question is not seen in decompression sickness. Vision loss, hearing loss, hemodilution, coagulopathy. Decompression sickness can lead to vision loss, hearing loss, hemoconcentration of RBCs, and coagulopathy. So the answer here is hemodilution because hemodilution is not seen in decompression sickness. The next question is which of the following ovarian structures is responsible for the following finding? So this histological appearance is showing the corkscrew appearance of endometrial glands which is suggestive of secretory phase of menstrual cycle due to secretion of progesterone formed by corpus luteum. Okay, so this progesterone secretion leads to this appearance. So the structure responsible for this progesterone secretion is corpus luteum. So the answer is D, corpus luteum. The next question is which of the following does not form the inner component of photoreceptors? Photoreceptors are actually rods and cones. It has two components, inner component An outer component. Inner component is actually formed by mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, and endoplasmic reticulum. An outer component is formed by membranous disc. Okay, so the answer here is B, membranous disc, because mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, and endoplasmic reticulum are the component of photoreceptor which is located in the inner side. But membranous disc form the outer component of the photoreceptors. Which of the following does not stimulate catecholamine synthesis? So let us look at the options. Hyperglycemia. No, it does not stimulate catecholamine synthesis. Actually, hypoglycemia stimulates catecholamine synthesis. So this is the answer. Let us look at the other options. Smoking, yes, it stimulates catecholamine synthesis. Standing posture, yes, it stimulates catecholamine synthesis. Exercise, absolutely yes, it stimulates catecholamine synthesis. The next question is, while collecting a blood sample for serum calcium, which is easily alterable, which of the following should be prevented to measure it accurately? If a tourniquet is needed, tie and release as soon as the sample is collected. This one is absolutely true. So that is a prevention measure. The next option is collecting after exercise. Collecting after exercise is not recommended. This one is wrong because collection after exercise generally alters the measurement of it calcium level accuracy. Making fist is not recommended. Yes, making fist is actually not recommended to accurate measurement of serum calcium. Not collecting sample from patient immobilized for long periods of time. Yes, you don't have to collect the sample for the patient which are immobilized for a long period of time because it also actually alters the calcium level. So these are all the preventive measure, but this is not the preventive measure. This should be prevented. Collecting after exercise should be prevented because these are all three measures accurate serum calcium level, but collecting after exercise does not accurately measure this serum calcium level. Okay, so B is the answer. Which receptor contributes to static two-point discrimination? Static two-point discrimination is actually contributes by Merkel cell. Answer is A, Merkel cell. Mitochondrial sheaths are found in which part of the sperm? Factual question, it is present in the middle piece of the sperm. It is not present in tail, it is not present in principal piece, it is not present in collecting piece. The next question is identify the correct option. So this is the figure of sarcomere which is given. The number 1 is actually Z line. Number 2 is A band. Number 3 is H zone. And the number 4 is I band. The answer is A. Z line, A band, H zone, and I band. The next question is, which of these drug transport systems do not require ATP? So one number is simple diffusion. The second is paracellular diffusion. Third one is facilitated diffusion. The fourth one is antiport. And the fifth one is symport. Okay. So simple diffusion, paracellular diffusion, and facilitated diffusion does not actually require ATP. Antiport and symport actually require ATP. So the answer is A, 1, 2, and 3. Choose the correct options from the given statements of the enteric nervous system. So let us see these all statements. Vagus is the only efferent from the gut. This one is wrong. Pelvic splanchnic nerve is also the efferent from the gut, a part of vagus nerve. Functions independent of the brain and spinal cord. Enteric nervous system, yes, it actually functions independent of the brain and spinal cord. Mesenteric plexus in the lamina propria. No, mesenteric plexus is actually located between the circular and longitudinal layer of gut. Next statement is exclusively under the influence of nerves. No, it is not actually exclusively under the influence of nerves because it also responds to immune system and hormone signals. Last one is only parasympathetic connects the enteric to the CNS. No, both parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system connects enteric to the CNS. So this one is also wrong. So the answer is only 2. The D is the answer. Next question is what causes decrease in GFR? The first option is decrease in glomerular coefficient. Glomerular coefficient is how effectively glomerulus filters the filtrate into kidney tubules. Okay, so decrease in glomerular coefficient actually leads to decrease in GFR because glomerular filtrate will be low. So the answer is A. Decrease in glomerular oncotic pressure. This leads to increase in GFR. Increase in glomerular hydrostatic pressure. This will leads to increase in GFR. Decrease of Bowman's hydrostatic pressure. This also leads to increase in GFR. Okay, so the answer is A. The next question is 70-year-old man with a blood pressure of 170 by 100 millimeter of mercury. What is the reason for the increased pulse pressure in this patient? So let us look at the options. Decreased arterial compliance, perfectly right answer. Because at 70 year of age, it actually leads to decreased arterial compliances, arterial muscle becomes weak. That will lead to increase in pulse pressure. Okay, so the answer here is A, decreased arterial compliance. Let us look at the other options. Increased cardiac output. No, increased cardiac output is not seen in 70-year-old men with this blood pressure. Increased sympathetic outflow. No, it is not the reliable answer. Increased myocardial contractility. No, it is not seen at the 70 years of age. The next question is physiological dead space. Physiological dead space means the measurement of inadequately perfused alveoli. Okay, so let us look at the options. Can be measured by spirometry. No, it cannot be measured by spirometry. Lesser than anatomical dead space. No, it is more than anatomical dead space. It represents inadequately ventilated alveoli. No, it represents inadequately perfused alveoli. So the last option is inadequately perfused alveoli representation. Yes, it is the right statement. So the answer is D. The next question is what contributes to the latent period of muscle twitch? Let us look at the statements. Neuromuscular transmission, yes, it contributes to the latent period of muscle twitch. Excitation contraction coupling, yes, it contributes to the latent period of muscle twitch. Reuptake of calcium back into sarcoplasmic reticulum, no, it cannot contribute to latent period of muscle twitch. Transmission of impulse from nerve, yes, it contributes to the latent period of muscle twitch. So the answer here is 1, 2, and 4. The answer is A. The next question is mechanical nociceptors and their response to a probe with a blunt object, pinprick, and toothed forceps with serrations are recorded as an output of a force transducer coupled to the stimulator. What could be inferred from this? Okay, this one is afferent fiber recording and this one is force in gram. This one is afferent fiber recording and this one is force in gram. This one is probe with blunt object, this one is pinprick, and this one is pinch with serrated forceps. Okay, so let us look at the statements. There are no responses from the nociceptors when stimulated by blunt forceps. This is actually a true statement because no response is seen. This is actually a clear cut straight line. When you see probe with a blunt object stimulation or blunt forceps stimulation, okay, afferent fiber recording shows no spikes. So there are no responses from the nociceptor when stimulated by blunt forceps. This one is completely true statement. Next statement is pinching with toothed forceps causes stimulation of mechanoreceptors but no pain. So pinch with serrated forceps actually leads to stimulation of mechanonociceptors but causes pain because it is still a painful stimulus. So this statement is wrong. Pricking with needle does not stimulate nociceptors. This one is also wrong because pin prick actually stimulating the nociceptors. Okay, there is stimulation always there. So this one is also wrong. Sharp pain sensation is carried by C fibers. So sharp pain is actually initial pain and initial pain is actually carried by A delta fibers. Okay. C fibers actually carries the dull and burning pain. So this one is also wrong. So the answer here is there are no responses from the nociceptors when stimulated by blunt forceps. The next question is peripheral chemoreceptors are most sensitive to. So simple, straightforward, factual question. They are most sensitive to hypoxia. The answer is B. The next question is identify the marked structure. So this histological image shown in the question is actually cardiac muscle and the marked structure is intercalated disc. Okay. So the answer here is A intercalated disc. The next question is which blood component is not separated by centrifugation in the blood bank? So let us look at the options. The first option is red blood cells. Yes, it is separated by centrifugation. Platelets. Yes, it is separated by centrifugation. Cryoprecipitate. Yes, it is separated by centrifugation. Albumin. Albumin is actually protein which cannot be separated by centrifugation. Okay. So the answer here is D, albumin. So with this, we complete our recall session. So thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.